Hey you guys, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Liz, and welcome to the Besties in the Books podcast.
Woo!
Hey guys.
Hey.
Today is a spoiler-free episode, part of our nostalgia series that we haven't done an episode for in a while. It's been a while, which is kind of fun.
It's like holidays finally, it's May. Holidays we finally recovered from.
Yeah.
So now we can do another nostalgic episde.
We'll have 2 months and then we'll start prepping for the holiday again.
That's exactly right.
So, if you guys have been following along for a while, you know that our nostalgia series, we did books that made us elementary school edition. We did books that made us high school edition. And so today we're going to be doing books that made us college edition.
Ooh.
So this is going to be kind of rough years, 2006 to 2012, kind of in that zone, but basically very late teens, early 20s. So basically, the way that this whole system works is Ashley and I have not shared our books ahead of time. So we each have 5 that we will present, and we will talk about
present to the group,
present to the class. Just give a little brief description of the book, why it really influenced us in these years, changed our brain chemistry, who we think might enjoy reading it. And then we're going to write them all on little pieces of paper, put them in our handy dandy Besties in the Books beanie.
Multi-purpose, guys.
Yeah.
Keeps you warm in the winter, makes you look cool, and you could pick random things out of the hat.
Yeah. If you ever need to do that.
Get one today. DM us for more details.
But seriously, no, we're just kidding. But yeah, we're super high tech over here. We're going to write it all down on this good old piece of paper. I'm going to crinkle it up, throw it in the Besties in the Books beanie, and then we're going to pick one out to reread. Not just amongst ourselves, but with you guys on a Besties in the Book Club Fable chat as well. So that is the method that we're going to use. Again, if you've been following along with us for a while, the first go around, we ended up reading The Dark is Rising, which is one of Ashley's elementary school picks.
Chaos ensued.
We read 2 different books on accident because it was unclear which book was book 1. So that was a good time. And then for high school, we ended up rereading The Great Gatsby, which was actually a really good time. So that was great, watching the movies and whatnot. If there's a movie version of whatever we pick today, we'll make sure to watch that too. But yeah, so stick around if you want to just kind of go down memory lane with us today. Millennial memory lane.
Yeah, definitely.
And be here for a spoiler-free episode. There might be some things that you remember really influencing you, so that might bring you back, or maybe you'll add some new books to your TBR. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we just wanted to say thank you so much for being here.
Seriously, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and your book to tune us all in, turn us on. No, not that. turn on the podcast to tune into us. There we go. I'm mixing up turning on and
I was going to say turning us on is funny though. That cracked me up.
Okay, great. To tuning into us. There we go. I got it. We appreciate you guys so much. And we would love to hear some of your formative books were of any time period, but specifically this college age time frame. Leave them down in the comments below. You can now comment on Spotify, which is super exciting. And of course, we're on YouTube too, which you can comment there. Throw us a like. That helps our channel out a lot. So if you really are enjoying our podcast, subscribing, following, hitting just a like button. If you want to share this with any book besties, that helps us with our growth and be able to make sure we can keep bringing these videos to you. And it signals to us too. You guys, you like what you see, you like what you hear. Keep them coming, man. We're at Besties in the Books podcast everywhere, including Instagram and TikTok. And then over at Fable, you can search Besties and the Book Club, and that's where all the Fable reads will be, buddy reads, book club of the month, all that fun stuff. So check us out, man.
Okay, so should we just kick this off with a fave and fail millennial nostalgia edition? I guess that's what we would call it. I just wrote down things from yesteryear that I miss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so why don't you start off this time?
Buckle up, guys. If you love a good nostalgia video, this is going to be for you. Or podcast or whatever. So we'll start. Okay, so my fave is also a fail. Not of my own, but just of life and what happened.
What happened? That's how mine are too, though. They're like faves and fails because they're like things I miss, you know?
Yeah. I think all of us book babes can take a moment of silence for what was fondly known as Borders. Books, what is it? Books, music, movies, and more. Moment of silence. Were you a Barnes and Noble's babe or a Borders babe? Because I was
Borders.
Borders. 100%. I would go on my day off and stroll around and then go listen to some of the music because their section was bopping too. I don't know. It's weird word, but yeah, it was just so great. They had a great magazine collection. Their coffee was top tier. Was it Seattle's Best they carried?
Yes, it was Seattle's Best. I remember because they had the best caramel latte of all time.
Yeah, which I think doesn't exist either anymore. I don't know.
Seattle's Best? I don't think so. I haven't seen it. Yeah.
So it was just the best. It was a good vibe. So Barnes and Noble's, while we love it now because it's like the only major chain one that we have other than Books A Million, which we don't have in California. That was like the sleepy store, like the more mature. Borders at the time was like the hip version, in my opinion, at least where I live. So I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I've never lived in a town with a Barnes & Noble, but we did have a Borders up here for a long time in Humboldt County in Eureka. And yeah, same thing. I used to go there, I would dare say on a daily basis.
Yeah. It was like something chill to do. Have some alone time, hang out. Sometimes meet friends there is the best of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good coffee. I did enjoy the magazine selection too.
That was such a favorite thing of the time. And I would just go and literally just let the book speak to me. No looking up ahead of time, no recommendations, just go in blindly.
Yeah.
And have
a nice
time.
Perusal.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So the fail is that they closed. Where were you on the day that Borders announced its closure? So I went to one of my local ones that I loved to do the going out of business sale or whatever. It was one of the last ones and pick up some stuff. And it was just I remember being so sad, just touching the books. I wish I could take you all home with me. But really, I just want this place, forever immortalized. It was great.
Yeah, I did not go to the closing sale for mine. I have a feeling that that was during a super busy college time or maybe beauty school time when I just couldn't go. You know what I mean? Just didn't have time to go. Also, there was a weird time when I had gone on a couple dates with one of my coworkers at Victoria's Secret. I worked there in the mall for a long time, guys. So one of my old coworkers, brother, and it didn't turn out well. It wasn't bad, but I just didn't really like him. And then he ended up being a barista at Seattle's Best and Borders, and so I kind of avoided it for a while because he would make really good coffees, but he would give me the evil eyes the whole time he was making it. He was vindictive. You could tell that he just hated me, but he would still make really good coffee. You know what I mean? So it was I was very on the fence about that. So I started avoiding it for a while. Yeah. So maybe it was during that time. Yeah. And then they closed and then they were gone. It
happened fast too. It wasn't one of those fake out Forever 21 keeps doing,
Yeah.
Fake out bankruptcy. If they could only have held on for 10 to 15 more years, we could still have them. Barnes and Nobles did.
What if they came back? If they came back, that would be so great.
My heart. I know. My beating heart.
I know. Now ours is a TJ Maxx. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I don't care about that.
I have seen that some TJ Maxx's have books, though. I don't know if that's a Europe thing. Might be TK Maxx, they call it. But I'm not even joking. That's what they have. That's what it is.
What?
Yeah, TK Maxx. You support me. Your European listeners. Tell me I'm right.
I love that. Yeah, ours definitely doesn't. I go there once a year when me and my sister go shopping for Halloween. That's it.
They do have good Halloween stuff. Yeah. All right. Where do you want to take us back to, Liz?
So mine is kind of similar. So things that I miss from yesteryear. I put the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss the mall being fun.
Yeah.
You know, like it was
Yeah.
just a different time. It's like you said, it's like you'd go to Borders, you'd listen to your music, you'd get your coffee. I'd go over to Annie Ann's, I'd get my pretzel.
Yeah.
You know, you'd go to Victoria's Secret, you go to Abercrombie, you go to American Eagle. It was just a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's making a little bit of a comeback. Like we had a little bit of a mall day last time I went down there and visited you. It's not quite like the same, but it's still somewhat satisfying now that you can go to like Barnes and Noble and, you know, obviously they're doing like incredibly well again.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. It's fun. You know, I mean, going to the movies at the mall.
Yeah.
That was always a good time. So that was one of them. And then I had two more. I had normal price concert tickets.
Yeah. They're out of control.
They're out of control, guys. It's so like, oh, I know. It's
and
ridiculous.
that, like, don't come at me, BS inflation. It needed to be done. It's like, no, I just think that a lot of these inflated prices from companies or, you know, venues, whatever, just saw that what people were willing to pay. So they're just like, oh, we're just going to do that too.
Yeah. Well,
so it's infuriating.
It is. It's crazy. Just being able to go to a good concert for like $100 max.
Yeah, max. That's like for the best seats back then, you know?
Yeah, totally. So that, and then my third one that I thought of was makeup. Back when makeup was fun.
Yeah, I don't miss it right now though. So
No, I don't necessarily miss the makeup itself.
Yeah.
You know, especially like us both coming from like makeup artist backgrounds, like, hey, let's both overload us all with makeup for so long that like, I don't know, it just takes the like new, fun, exciting, like, you know, unique aspect out of it, I think, is what I miss. Like just that excitement.
Well, and then, you know, COVID completely changed, so it's clean girl, you know, aesthetic, which it couldn't have come at a better time for my life, honestly, because we were like sick of doing it at that point because you get burnout. But yeah, the creativity during that time, it was next level, like the blend and the colors and even just people doing special effects makeup all the time. Yeah, it was a special time. It was. Yeah.
I feel like it was inspiring, and it was also just, it was like, you know, we talk about the water cooler thing all the time. It was like, if you were in that community, then you were part of the water cooler talk. And so it was like, oh my God, this new thing is coming out. And it was also like, you guys, you know, we forget that like when we were in high school, it was like drugstore makeup, and like if you were like
and like before drugstore was good, like
before drugstore was good,
you had to. That's why kind of, you know, I stopped doing makeup reviews on my channel because it's like everything's good now. It's not, you don't really need to review anything. They figured it out, you know. Where back then, it was a dime a dozen to find something actually decent, and then you had that product for 10 years.
There was like 5 foundation shades, you know what I mean, like period, like at all, and all the brands, like, you know, we used to buy our makeup at like Rite Aid, like you know, it's so crazy to think about. And you know, if you were really bougie, then maybe you could afford to like buy something from Sephora, but they were like the only show in town, or MAC. You know, I would get like my MAC eyeshadow palette once a year on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, so like cool, you know, and you just wait for that day to like open that one package that you waited all year for, you know? It was just different times.
It was.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for kids these days, you know? It's like nothing feels special. Like that sounds harsh, but I think things are, it's such a mixed thing because things are so accessible, and even talking about malls versus online, like online is so convenient. It really is. But there's something different about going in store and experiencing that. Like my girls, obviously they're still pretty young. They're not like free range online shopping, but you know, so my 9-year-old loves going to Abercrombie and picking stuff out. If I show her on my phone, she's like, I don't know, whatever, you know? So it's so different to be able to go and experience these things in person and suss out things. And then that excitement for a new launch coming out, instead of like right before the makeup bubble burst, it was a new launch every 5 seconds, you know, and then you're already, by the time you actually get it in the mail, nobody's even talking about it anymore. So it was that perfect in between. It was when makeup was still being very innovative, people were still being creative, including makeup companies. They were having to be cutting edge, and then the market just became so saturated. And then what do trends do? When you say, okay, now everybody has a million rainbow palettes, we're going to reverse the trends into minimal makeup, nude shadow, you know, and do it that way. So yeah, it's very right now. It's a sad thing to see how quick trends change. And I think that's part of like TikTok and Instagram and that quick cycle where back in our day, where's the walker, you know, is like you had to save up your allowance to get something. And then it was coveted and cherished. You know, how many people had an Urban Decay Naked palette for 10 years because that was their first palette. My
gosh.
You know, and they use it to the pan, you know?
Yeah.
So it was special. It was. I know what you mean.
You know, I think that might be, you know, just to round it back around to like what this podcast is actually about. Just to round it back around to books, though, I feel like that's one of the reasons why books are having such a resurgence is because it's like we're still enjoying the. Like, how to describe this? We're enjoying the water cooler talk. We're enjoying the whimsical nature of like escaping, you know, to this other world. We're enjoying using our imagination, connecting with these characters, resonating with these ideas. And I feel like that's something that, you know, a lot of these other things that got really popular, like makeup or whatever, like they're, in my opinion, it's not going to have the same longevity as something like a book or an idea that like will forever be evolving and changing. You know what I mean? In so many different ways. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why it's making such a comeback, which is great because look at us going to Barnes & Noble and being at the mall.
Yeah. Yeah. We're holding on.
We're holding on.
Well, a lot of it, we've talked about this many times on our more millennial themed episodes, is like we're kind of reclaiming what we lost during that period in our lives coming out of our college years and having to like put on our big girl pants and work the jobs and do the things that we kind of lose ourselves a little bit in all of that. A lot of it, honestly, for me, I know for sure. Having kids and, you know, becoming a stay-at-home mom mostly, and you lose some of what you loved. So in your 30s, sometimes the dust has settled a little bit and you have the chance to realize, hey, wait a second. Like, who am I? Like, I want that. You know, I want that back. Like, or I want those things that I forgot about because I was busy putting on my pantsuit, you know? So, like, reclaiming pieces of us. And a huge part for Liz and I is getting back into the books that we loved instead of just assigned reading and whatever. So, yeah.
So I think that's what also makes this, like, you know, books that made us college edition a little bit more unique, perhaps, than, like, the first couple that we've done. Is, like, this is really when, you know, Ashley and I, we've always been connected, but we're definitely going off and living separate lives. And so, like, I'm really curious to see what Ashley chose. I think she's curious to see what I chose. And we're just going to kind of see where this episode takes us. It's going to be a wild ride of mystery. I'm excited.
Let us know what you guys miss of yesteryear. A lot of people have told me, you know, like flip phones. You know what I wanted so bad? My friend had the sidekick that would like flip out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I would just watch him flip it and text. I'm like, oh, who are you texting? I was like, it doesn't matter. I got a sidekick. It was great.
I had some phone that like, I don't know, like slid up.
Was it a halfway slide up?
Yeah.
We might have had the same one at one point.
And I loved that freaking thing, man.
I loved it too. Mine got stolen at a party we had. I was so mad. I'm like, you come to my house and you steal my phone?
That's messed up.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
And I had to go back to like a really crappy one after that because my parents were paying for it at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to BlackBerry. I remember I dropped that phone at a Halloween production, I think it was of Rocky Horror Picture Show, cracked the screen, and then I had to go get a new phone, and that is when the BlackBerry was introduced.
Did you have the BlackBerry Pearl?
I think so.
With the little swivel pink ball in the middle?
Yes, and it was pink.
It was basically our own little fidget. It was great.
Yeah. Gosh, there we go. More nostalgia for you.
Loved it. It was just,
I know,
it was cool, like having different phones. Like everybody right now, we all have the rectangle square. Hey, it's efficient. It does the job most of the time. And like, I get it. Like, where do we go from here? But that was cool. Like, oh, what kind of phone do you have? Ooh, what kind of features do you have? Like, that was exciting.
Yeah.
There was no innovation anymore. I know there's Androids, but you guys, they all look the same, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen somebody have that one that maybe somebody listened to and has it.
Yeah.
That
I saw the
I
commercial
don't
for
understand the physics of the glass closing on itself. It's like a rectangle flip phone. It's weird. I get it. It's cool, at least. It's different, you know? So let's get some more innovation.
We're just going to talk about phones now. Yeah. Did you like your BlackBerry? Do you miss it? I do.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things, though, that it seemed like it could do so much, but then it didn't really. And, like, my parents were paying for data. They're like, no, emails. You have a computer. Yeah. So I didn't use any of the functions on it except calling and text. Yeah.
I definitely did. I definitely did.
Good.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paying too much for Verizon bills since 2006. Great.
Yeah. Things that have gotten cheaper. Yeah. We could say some kind of, in theory, you know, cell phone bills used to be per text. 10 cents per text message.
My God, I guess. I forgot about that.
Per minute.
Yeah.
Phone calls.
Yeah.
So we'll give them credit for that. There you go. All right. Enough about that. Let's talk about some other nostalgia stuff, more book related. Let's go.
Okay. So do you want to go first in this book list, or do you want me to go first?
It does not matter to me.
Okay. Let's hear your first one. I'm curious.
Okay.
Let's do it.
And no necessarily particular order, but I will save the best for last. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Best for last, but the rest don't matter. Okay, great. Let's see here.
Okay, I've got my piece of paper. I'm ready to write it down and put it in the hat.
Okay, so Liz and I were discussing this. Unfortunately, there are a couple books that I no longer have in my possession because these were the years that I was F-arounding and finding out, okay? FAFO years. My lesson was don't give books out to people to borrow because they don't care about them the way we do. So my first book was given to someone that I was semi-dating and they never returned it. That jerk.
I hope they're listening. Thanks for listening and return the book.
Give me my book back. So the book was called, or is called, so it still exists. It's Cracked by Dr. Drew Pinsky from the hit radio show, if you might not recognize his name, Loveline. Who remembers that?
Oh, that's funny. I've never heard of this book before.
But you remember that show, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was great. So, and then later on, after, I don't know if the radio show was still going or not, but he did some addiction shows such as VH1 Celebrity Rehab. So I would watch all those rehab shows that he did. And he's like a psychologist, for those that don't know, and he is some kind of doctor in addiction. I don't know what that. I didn't do extensive research. Sorry, guys. So
some kind of doctor, supposedly.
So he wrote a book called Cracked, and I actually think I purchased this on the going out of business sale for Borders.
Oh.
It was that or like closely there, because I remember those two like merging in my brain, but who knows.
Yeah.
So this book, obviously it was a 5-star back then. I don't know now, but it is a riveting book. This is the thing I got from Amazon, okay? Yeah. Since I don't have it with me anymore. Pinsky reveals the intimate and often shocking stories of his patients as they struggle with emotional trauma, sexual abuse, and a host of chemical nemesis, alcohol, marijuana, ecstasy, heroin, speed, cocaine, prescription drugs. At the center of these stories is Pinsky himself, who immerses himself passionately, almost obsessively into his work. So it's kind of like, I don't remember it exactly now because golly, how long has it been? 15 years?
Yeah.
You know, but it's kind of like some insight into what that looks like for different patients and what's that like being the therapist of this person and the different treatments that they do and things like that. But I just remember some very insightful quotes. So for me, how this book helped me, I wasn't struggling with addiction personally, but he just had a lot of like profound things. I remember, this is why I'm mad actually that I didn't get this book back, because I actually highlighted this book and annotated it.
That's so
and
annoying.
One of the quotes, I'll try to remember off the top of my head, but it was something like, it is oftentimes we find who we are ourselves by our relationships with others. Something like that. Because at the time, you know, I was working at a restaurant. By the way, I didn't actually go to college. I did trade school. I went to Paul Mitchell for hair. So then after that, I was working on building up the salon and always working at this restaurant. So at the time, I was like more isolated, not super outgoing, not depressed by any means, but just when I was off work, I would just, you know, go home, you know? So that, this book like was part of the time that kind of helped me get out of my shell a little bit. Cracked. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is fun.
So that quote, I remember trying to tell myself when I would be nervous or anxious going to do something, you know, it's like, you know what, let my guard down. It's not that serious. Go have some fun, you know, because sometimes we find out more about ourselves through our relationships with others. So that is why. Yeah, I felt like that book helped form me. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you Would you rec it to anyone in particular? Would you recommend it to anyone in particular?
Well, you know, and yeah, I guess anybody it's very trigger warning, obviously, for all the things that I've mentioned. But yeah, anybody who's interested in reading about some of those stories about maybe you've had to deal with people or maybe you yourself have had to deal with it. However, I'm hesitant to say whether I would recommend it still or not because I don't know what caliber Dr. Drew is at this point in his life anymore. Back then it was all fine, but I think he's gone off the deep end a little bit.
Oh, really?
Kind of Dr. Oz crack job territory. So I don't know. Like I've seen a lot of like ads for him and he's all beefed up and trying to push supplements and then like I don't know, I think he's like a little on the red side, you know. So I don't know exactly though, so don't quote me on that. Definitely fact check me, but I just don't know how quacky he's gotten, you know. But back then it was fine. So.
I mean, I think that's another thing that makes these episodes interesting, right? Is that, like, these books are a product of their time, but then it's also, like, we were looking at them through 20-year-old eyes, which is completely different than, like, mid to late 30s eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that is part of why these series are fun. Because, you know, we'll get to pick one, reread it, and see, like, is this even useful now? Is this even a good book now? Is this problematic now? Like, you know, all those kinds of things.
Treatments for people with addiction change drastically. I don't know. For me, I picked up this book because I just wanted, more insight to human nature and different people that weren't myself, you know? And I ended up gaining not only more empathy for people that are going through this stuff, but even some learning lessons for myself. So, I mean, it'd be good for anybody that's willing to explore that realm. But I don't even remember how it was formatted or anything now. But hey, what about you, Liz?
Okay, so I'll just pick one out of the pile here. Okay, so the first one that I wanted to share is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert.
What? I didn't see. Sorry, no offense. I didn't see it coming.
I read all kinds of things, guys. Okay,
you do.
I do.
That's true.
I freaking loved this book. I even loved the movie, even though people didn't like the movie with Julia Roberts. I loved both. I thought it was great. It actually started a bookmark just shot out of there. I don't know if you could see that.
I saw it was confetti. Book confetti.
You know, this book started my obsession with Elizabeth Gilbert. I've read almost everything that she's written. She's a fantastic author. Nonfiction and fiction alike. I went on to read another book by her that I do have to shout out on here because it was so good, called Committed. If you have not read that, you should read that too. But yeah, Eat, Pray, Love was like the OG, I feel like, Elizabeth Gilbert book that really, I feel like it affected me when I was at that age because it was about essentially a woman kind of reinventing herself, right? And it was like fairly problematic because obviously she was doing so with a fair amount of privilege that allowed her the freedom to like move literally throughout the world on this crazy like I don't know, journey to rediscover herself, you know, no longer as a married woman because she goes through a divorce and all that, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm like, it's been a long time since I've read this, but I'm pretty sure that's what the gist is. But yeah, I just loved it because I found it to be really interesting and just kind of inspirational and like a good... You know, when I was in school, my degree is in journalism, but then my minor was in women's studies. So basically, I would kind of toggle back and forth between how the media is essentially like corrupting us as a nation into believing all these things. I won't get too far into it, right? And then going over to women's studies where we're talking about, you know, all the different forms of oppression and inequality in the world and how those work together. And it was kind of a bit depressing at times.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I would do things like take acting classes or, you know, things to kind of like break it up and make me a little bit less like, wow, the world is just so down in the dumps all the time. So sometimes I would take breaks and read books like Eat, Pray, Love just to kind of mix it up. And I mean, I really loved it. I know it got super popular, so I don't really have to like, I don't know. I feel like I don't need to sell it to you guys. You probably read it if you're interested in it. Did you ever read it?
No, see, and just like 50 Shades of Grey, that was another one that, like, in my life, I heard heavily made fun of, you know?
Yeah.
And teased and stuff.
I mean,
and it's like, interesting. I wonder.
It definitely, it's going in the hat. It definitely got a lot of criticism, like I said, because, you know, at the core of it, it's about a super privileged white lady going and traveling around to, like, find herself, and it's supposed to be inspirational, but it's, like, a very inaccessible way to go find yourself for, like, 99% of people. Like, we can't just leave and go travel the world for 6 months or whatever she does. I can't remember, you know?
Yeah. Wish.
Yeah. But, you know, after learning more about Elizabeth Gilbert's story and just her as a person, I've listened to a lot of podcasts with her and like lectures that she does. And she's just a really fascinating individual. And so I really respect her as an author. And so
yeah,
I had to throw that one in there because I feel like it influenced a lot of my future reads. And I would recommend it to anyone who, I don't know, maybe I feel like it might be a good palate cleanser book. If you've been reading a lot of like other genres, like a lot of fantasy or a lot of romance or whatever, it might be good. Just, I'm going to take a little detour into this like, you know, memoir kind of situation. Yeah, just something kind of light, but also that has good themes that I think are relatable to a lot of us.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time since I've read it, so that's why I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's making me want to reread it.
Yeah, hey, maybe we'll get it in the hat.
Maybe we'll get it
in the hat.
You
never know.
Okay.
All right, so my next one was, again, just like a random pick in probably Borders. I don't remember.
Okay.
But it is The Wolf at the Table by Augustin Burroughs, I think it's how you say it. So he is known for the book Running with Scissors. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I just remember, I didn't read it, but I remember it was super popular. And I don't know why I didn't pick that one, but I picked this one instead.
Okay.
And it was a memoir about his relationship with his father. So definitely trigger warnings for this one. But it's about kind of diving into the psychological cruelty and the redemptive power of hope, told with scorching honesty and penetrating insight. Augustine makes a quantum leap into untapped emotional terrain, and the radical pendulum swings between love and hate. So I don't honestly really remember much about this book either, other than what I just kind of grazed over, but I remember reading it quickly and it being really sad and terrible, but insightful.
Yeah.
Again, like this was my era of kind of understanding the world better, you know, because we grew up in a small town and, you know, only had so many people like around us in our lives, different type of personalities. So it was just a time of me wanting to gain more perspective about other people's plights in life. So, I don't really remember much other than that though.
Yeah. I love this because it's like, I haven't heard of that one either. So look at that. Very different than something I would pick up.
Yeah. So would I recommend it? I mean, I don't remember. Sure. Maybe not. I don't know. Trigger warnings, though. We'll
find out.
You know, for tumultuous relationships with parents. But it is also, I remember some healing towards the end there, you know. But hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that went in the hat. There it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so my next one is A Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler.
I recognize the cover, but not the name.
Yeah. So I had the privilege and great experience of getting to take a class in college called feminist science fiction. And it was a great class, and my teacher introduced us to so many good, amazing authors. But this was definitely one of my favorite reads. And so just off of Amazon, just their little blurb or whatever, 15-year-old Lauren Alamina lives inside a gated community with her preacher, father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding social chaos and anarchy caused by climate change and economic crisis. In a society where any vulnerability is a risk, she suffers from hyper-empathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed, Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent disasters her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more, the birth of a new faith and a startling vision of human destiny. So it's kind of like it's feminist science fiction. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of speculative fiction situation. And I remember it just really... It was just opening my eyes to, I think, a genre that many of us don't even really know about because it kind of gets overlooked in the sci-fi fantasy space. And so, I mean, obviously we have like Margaret Atwood in The Handmaid's Tale, but like how many other like feminist sci-fi books like before this class would I have been able to name? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. That is definitely going to be my second pick, Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, which I think you would really enjoy reading. So,
yeah, it sounds like it for sure. I need more time.
I know, right? I know.
I read all the books.
Okay, what's your next one?
Okay, so apparently it was my memoir era.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So this one is called Madness, A Bipolar Life. So this is by and about...
Were you okay at this time?
I just was trying to gain a lot of insight about other people.
Yeah. Okay.
The human experience. Apparently, I was studying all on my own lonesome, self.
I love it.
So this one is by Maria Hornbacher.
Okay.
So it's famous for the author of Wasted. I don't know if that rings a bell to anybody.
It doesn't to me.
But yeah, so this is literally about her bipolar life. Here's a more eloquent synopsis. Maria chronicles her lifelong battle with her bipolar disorder from early manifestations through devastating mood swings, creative highs, and her ongoing journey of survival through therapy and medication. So it was just really interesting and fascinating to learn about. So yeah, what I gained from all of these books is just that, like more understanding to all of the human plights that I could, So not that I needed to learn empathy, but it just is very fascinating to me to learn about different people's lives.
It is.
So
I enjoy memoir as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know that about myself. I'm like, oh, hey, look, there's a lot of memoirs in this list. I didn't read a lot of books back then. So I was telling Liz, like, it's slim pickings, Because, hey, you know what Cracked did? It got me out there, and then I had my little party phase. So... And then also working 2 jobs constantly, you only have so much time. I didn't get back into reading until a year before starting this podcast. And then it blew up. And I went from one book maybe a year to, what was last year? 57? I don't know. Something crazy.
A lot more.
So,
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'd recommend that book to anybody who, again, wants to kind of understand. It's almost kind of written diary-esque.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you can see, like, her high highs and her low lows and her guilt that she would feel and then sometimes not feel, and just the mix. So trigger warning, obviously, for sure, with the context, but it was just very insightful.
Yeah. So yeah, we forget that trigger warnings are super new, but basically, if you're concerned about any of these older books and you're thinking about getting into them and you're just not really sure if there's something in there that might bother you, like reach out, via email to the author, go to their website. Sometimes it's on there.
Yeah.
DM them on social media. Someone might get back to you. Or just, we're all readers here. So maybe post something on your stories and see if someone can explain it to you. But yeah, we just kind of forget that trigger warnings at the beginning of books are a fairly new development.
Yeah, definitely. Such a good positive thing that's come to the community for sure, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the next book that I wanted to bring up coming off of the last one that I was just talking about is Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. Mm-hmm. So another one that we read in my feminist science fiction class. Most people obviously know Margaret Atwood from The Handmaid's Tale, her probably most famous work. But this one is my favorite, and it's actually part 1 in a trilogy. So it's the Mad Adam trilogy. And yeah, I just wanted to show you guys, like, literally, like, this has so many like highlights, annotations. Like, I learned so much from this book, even though it is fiction.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just to give like a little, blurb summary from Amazon about it. Snowman, known as Jimmy before mankind was overwhelmed by a plague, is struggling to survive in a world where he may be the last human and mourning the loss of his best friend Crake and the beautiful and elusive Oryx, whom they both loved. In search of answers, Snowman embarks on a journey, with the help of the green-eyed children of Crake, through the lush wilderness that was so recently a great city, until powerful corporations took mankind on an uncontrolled genetic engineering ride. Margaret Atwood projects us into a near future that is both all too familiar and beyond our imagining.
Yeah.
So very sci-fi, very dystopian. It brought up a lot of really interesting feminist themes, environmental themes. It's just between books like Parable of the Sower and Oryx and Crake, I feel like it almost helped me like process a lot of the other dystopian books that we had read before that don't have that explicit feminist lens.
Yeah.
Because you can't pull those ideas and topics out of other books. You can just choose not to really talk about them.
Yeah.
And so I think that it really helped me kind of like put a lot of other books into perspective. But yeah, I'm always like, if you like science fiction, if you like fantasy, if you like dystopian books, if you liked anything else written by Margaret Atwood, if you like, feminist science fiction specifically, like, please pick up Oryx and Crake and start this trilogy. You won't be able to put it down. It's all 3 books are excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, a moment of shout out for our well-loved books. Take a look at her book there. We got some beautiful aging like a fine wine. So as much like as we love our perfect condition, pristine books, check out these bad boys. I don't know what the hell happened to my book here, but it's been through it. And it's well loved, right? There's a special place. I used to not buy hardcovers. I mean, they're expensive also, so there's that. But I prefer reading paperback just because it's not heavy and awkward for my wrists. But
now we mostly read Kindle, I think. Now we mostly read ebooks.
And I mostly have hardcovers, but that's because it's my trophies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like back then it was like, all my books were pretty much paperback because that's what I could afford. And then also, like, there wasn't Kindle or ebooks. Yeah,
and I feel like they used to, now, at least in fantasy, which is what we mostly read, they usually send out hardbacks first and then paperbacks. You have to wait for sometimes like a year, which, like, I don't understand that. Like, why can't we just have both at the same time? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know.
50-50. Split up the stock.
Maybe they're trying to gauge, like, how many to make.
Yeah, but it's weird to start with. I don't like that they start with the more expensive option first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It should be paperback first, you would think. But, hey.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, I mean, other than my depressing memoirs that I read, I also heavily was reading Chuck Palahniuk, leaving high school, because it was towards the end of high school that you got me into it. So most of my reads were actually after high school for him. Mm-hmm. So I picked my 2 favorite ones. I was gonna not, but like all the other books, like I barely remember, but I definitely remember these, and I loved them. And I read so many of his books at the time. Not all of them were good, I gotta say, but these were my 2 favorites. Like we've already talked about one of my favorites that were in high school, Invisible Monsters, but I'm gonna go with Choke. That was a really good one. So that one, I mean, I wouldn't say it changed me at all, but I was just eating up all of his books and I just loved it, So we have a little synopsis here for you. So Victor is a medical school dropout and is the anti-hero for our deranged times. Needing to pay for elder care for his mother, Victor has devised an ingenious scam. He pretends to choke on pieces of food while dining in upscale restaurants. Then he allows himself to be saved by fellow patrons who feel responsible for Victor's life and go on to send him checks and support him. And this was adapted to a movie, which I do own actually now that I realize this. But I remember seeing it in the movie theaters with some of my roommates. Funnily enough, though, I don't remember if I liked the movie or not, but it was Sam Rockwell.
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
I don't think I did. I feel like I loved the book, and
Yeah.
then I watched the movie, and I was like, what is this? Because I don't even remember watching it a second time. Like, I think I just watched it once and then just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't remember it now. I feel like probably it was like, that wasn't what the book was about at all, but okay. Also, obviously, for those that don't know, Chuck Palahniuk is the writer and creator of Fight Club, which obviously they did such a good job with that movie. So there's really high expectations. And there's been so many rumors about adaptations of his books since that one that never come to fruition. Invisible Monsters was always up there. And then for Choke to get the green light, it was like, oh, okay. And then it was just kind of like, whatever. There are some really good actors, though. I remember his mom was actually the one who plays the mom in Addams Family. I don't remember her name, but I remember her doing a good job. But little pieces are coming back to me now. But anyways, anybody who likes Chuck Palahniuk books, hey, give it a go. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that one goes in the hat. So then my next one, I wonder if this one will surprise you too then. Now I'm like, is it going to be another jump scare? This one I loaned out and I have not gotten it back. But it is Wild by Cheryl Strayed.
Oh, I think I read that one. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or you just told me about it front to back. Oh, no, I saw the movie.
The movie
that
was good.
Reese
I liked
Witherspoon. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I loved this book. I felt like the book was excellent. The movie was excellent. I love Reese Witherspoon though. She's great,
Yeah.
But it just, again, it was not unlike Eat, Pray, Love in the way that it was about, a woman going through a hard time in her life and then going on this like literal, and figurative journey to like re-find herself under these different circumstances.
Yeah.
So in Eat, Pray, Love is about a divorce, and then in Wild it was about a death. And so she chooses to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. I can't remember if it's if she does the whole thing from Mexico to Canada. I can't remember now, but she does at least a large chunk of it by herself. And just takes that time to like refigure out who she is without this person who's passed. And yeah, I just remember it really resonated with me at the time, and it was just well written and interesting, and also an adventure story, right? Where like the main character is a woman, which I feel like in nonfiction, because this is technically a memoir, it would be harder to find.
Yeah.
So, or I think it's technically a memoir anyways, but it's been a long time since I've read it, obviously. But yeah, I loved this book. I mean, I would recommend it for kind of same, as, like I was saying for Eat, Pray, Love. Like if you're looking for a good, just memoir kind of story about someone's life, if you're maybe going through a hard time yourself and you need some inspiration or just to kind of like escape and hear someone else's story and how they dealt with it, or you want a palate cleanser in between different series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'd be curious did you figure out if you read it or not, or do you just think you would just watch the movie?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could go either way.
But yeah, I really liked it. I haven't reread, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've reread any of these recently. So yeah, I have to reread it for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have one more for us? Your favorite out of the 5 that you chose?
So, and I think I might have talked about this on a Halloween episode or something, but we're going to just say it again.
Okay.
Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. This is another worn and weathered book. I love that this book glows in the dark, though. I can see the imprint. Did you know it glows in the dark? So cool.
No, I didn't know that. My copy is signed, though. It was one of my first signed books that I ever got.
Okay, can I tell this story? Do you know what a fail is? Okay.
What?
Mr. Chuck Palahniuk. Okay. I'm 98% sure that I sat him at the restaurant that I was working at one time, and I didn't figure it out until, like, I kind of was figuring it out, and then he already left,
Aww,
like, he has a very specific face
look
and set of ears,
totally.
I will say, and haircut, like, and demeanor. And I remember, so I had sat him, and I wasn't actually the hostess, I think, but I think I was serving at that time. But I happened to sat him, and he was meeting some friends, so he was like running late. And so I didn't I didn't like write his name down or anything. There's no wait list. But I was like, oh no. Like, and I missed my chance when I was like in the back or something. And I'm like, is that freaking Chuck? Charles? Is that you? It was too late. He was already gone. It's like that one chance. 98% sure. We had a lot of famous people come into that restaurant. So I don't think he's maybe he's famous. I don't know. But it was crazy. He was really nice too. He was like very like, thank you. Thank you. You know, like that. Like, thanks for seating me. Like, and he had like this certain walk and like lean that if I meet him in person ever, be like, definitely it was you. I'll know. I'll know when I see him. Anyways, so let me talk about this book.
Tell the people what Haunted's about.
Yeah, so Haunted is a novel made up of 23 horrifying, hilarious, and stomach-turning stories. They're told by people who have answered an ad for a writer's retreat and unwittingly joined a survivor-like scenario where the host withholds heat, power, and food. As the storytellers grow more desperate, their tales become more extreme and ruthless. I don't want to say anything else, but there is a very dramatic twist at the end that I just ate right up. So it was very fast-paced. It's thicker, but it was a quick read. That's what I think is so great about his books, too, is his pacing is excellent. So you don't have to, like... Even some of these memoirs took me, I remember, a long time to read through. I think that's why my other copy I just showed you is so, like, wrecked, because you had to be in the right mindset to, like, listen about somebody's struggles with addiction or bipolar, and then, you know, the pacing isn't as fast. Chuck Palahniuk's books, fast-paced, straight to the point, you know, riveting, and then there's always a twist at the end. So you know what you're signing up for with that. And then
they're page turners, for real.
Anybody who's a writer or in the book world should read Haunted for sure. This is very interesting. Yeah.
Creative. Or likes horror. Like I haven't read that in a really long time. I'd love to reread.
And I don't love horror, and I still loved that book. But there are some definitely trigger warnings in pretty much all his books. But definitely Haunted. There's some pretty gross stories in there.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Right. So my last one. So as I said before, a big part of my college experience was determining that the real department that I resonated with was the women's studies department. Like they call it the critical race, gender, and sexuality studies department now. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what it was. Yeah. Most of the reading I did, I'd say, you know, because there's a fair amount in journalism classes, but the most that I read was always some type of like book surrounding like feminist theory, which ended up basically shaping my entire personality from there on forward. And so this is the reason why I included this book. And it's a little guy, so anyone can read it and enjoy it. So it's called Feminist Theory from Margin to Center, and it's written by Bell Hooks, who's one of the most influential feminist theory thinkers, I guess you could say, theorists. And the reason why I shared this one specifically is because I feel like it's accessible. Like I said, it's, you know, how many pages is this? It's like under 200 pages. And I think that her ideas are really important just in life in general and really useful for anyone. She also has a book called Feminism is for Everybody, which I think is good. Yeah. But this one, when I was looking through my collection and I was really like looking at all the highlighted passages and what really resonated to me, I felt like this one was one of the most influential. And so that's why I decided to suggest it. Yeah, I feel like without delving into like, the actual content, I don't have a whole lot more to say about that, except for, if you're interested in learning more about, feminist theory and intersectionality, Bell Hooks is one of your ladies who could really help you with that. And I would love to reread anything by her. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's going in the hat. Let me write it down really quick. Okay, any final words before I pick? Any last words before I pick what we will be rereading for our college edition book? I don't know. I kind of hope I get one of your books, because I feel like mine was picked the first time, and then the second time we both put Great Gatsby in. So. Oh, that's true. That's true. Let's see. All right. Crinkle, magic. It's not really. It's not really making much noise because it's in a knitted beanie. Yeah, a really comfortable, warm knitted beanie. Yeah, exactly. With such a cute logo on it. Yeah, it's so stylish. So
So
stylish.
demure.
Okay. Here we go. The unveiling. Wild!
Ooh,
We picked Wild.
That's exciting.
It is exciting because I think that it'll be a really interesting book to read now as 36 and 37-year-olds. Very different.
Oh, it's also summertime. So this is when I hike and stuff occasionally. So very vibey.
Definitely the same as hiking like 1,000 miles
totally.
plus by yourself.
Totally.
The same, yeah. And there's a movie, so we'll be able to watch the movie as well.
That's
so
always
that's extra
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that.
There we go, guys.
Okay.
So join us on Fable. We'll put a Fable up for that. So you can read that with us too, because we're going to have a video going into that. And if it hit the same for Liz, Ashley will find out, has she read this before? Has she not? You know, answering the age-old
Will I
question.
be able to track down my copy and find it from the first time?
Yeah.
We will see.
Yeah.
We will see. But I would like to, because back then, during my college years, I was so used to annotating everything that I read, that everything that I read for fun, I also annotated. So I'd
Yeah.
be curious to see if I made any notes in that original copy. So I'm going to see if I can track it down.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you do.
If not, I guess I'll have to get a new copy.
Yeah, make new annotations. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fun. I'm looking forward to that. Look at
Good.
us go.
And we didn't rig it. Liz truly won, fair and square.
Yeah, I did not
good.
rig it. I literally put them all in here, okay?
Everybody's like, wait, no, nobody is. So that's great. Okay, so you guys don't go yet. We got it unhinged. Smash or pass. Do.
college theme, college edition.
Okay. Well, since we talked about him already, I'm going to hit you with this. So just for
All right.
that time period, like I said, I don't know who he is as a person now. He is ripped though, but still mentally, I don't know what kind of state he's in. But back then, let me tell you, Dr. Drew Pinsky, smash or pass.
I have no idea anything
Oh my
about this
gosh,
person.
look him up. I know he was
Okay.
a radio show host, so but the voice, he had a good voice too. So hey.
Yeah, I have no idea what he looks like then or now.
Yeah.
I did not
But
read the
so
book.
look at Dr. Drew 2006 or whatever. 2008, 2010. When was he on Celebrity Rehab? I don't know.
Okay, so just like 2008.
Yeah, while you look that up, obviously it was a smash for me back then. Silver Fox.
Okay.
Through and through. But it's a vibe. That's the problem with looking at
This guy?
pictures. Yeah. When you put it that way. That's why the picture doesn't it doesn't make sense. You have to know. You have to it's the vibe. It's the vibe. It's the voice.
Yeah,
it's the
'cause
whole thing. That picture doesn't do it. The
Like I have to show you the
rectangle
cover.
glass.
Yeah, like I have to show you guys like the picture of his book because it has like his picture on it. Like I'm sorry, but it's a pass for me. Like there's nothing about
It's
this
the whole
situation.
Some people know that are listening to this. 50% of you get it. The other 50% are where Liz is at. And I get it. But listen.
Yeah. I mean,
That's why
maybe
it's unhinged, okay?
Yeah. Well,
'Cause I know.
mine's unhinged, but like in the opposite direction. Okay.
Okay,
So-
who's that guy who is also a silver fox and then he came out as gay later on? So everybody was like, oh man, as if we had a chance. He's also a silver fox. He's on he's a news reporter. He's a journalist. He's a good one.
Oh, Anderson Cooper.
Yes, him.
Yeah,
So
Anderson Cooper's a smash all day.
all day, but he was along those lines back then. People would compare them. So obviously, Dr. Drew's a little more nerdy, but he still had that same vibe before I think he flew over the cuckoo's nest. So
Flew over the cuckoo's nest.
he was smart,
okay.
he was sensitive, like I said. Anyways.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Mhm. Anderson Cooper. We were all sad we couldn't get with him. Yeah,
as
I
if
remember that.
That was what was stopping us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I really don't have a chance. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck. All right, what do you
Okay.
got for me?
So mine's a smash or pass for one of my biggest crushes during my later high school years and then all throughout college.
Okay.
But I don't know how you feel about this person. So smash or pass Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that for you. Out of respect for you, it's a pass for me. Save him for you. No, it's a pass. He's cool and
Yeah.
stuff. I would hang out with him, but like, I don't. That's Liz's taste. That's for Liz. You know what I mean? So I save it for you.
I feel like, but that's the thing about Johnny Knoxville is he withstands the test of time because I loved him when I was in high school and then in college. And then I would say somewhat recently, within the last 5 years, they came out with the new Jackass movie and my husband and I watched it and he's gray now.
Yeah, so I'm
he's still looking good.
This is the Silver Fox smasher pass right here. He's getting fine wine for sure. Like I can see it. Like for me, it's no thanks, but I get it 1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Look at who I'm talking about, obviously. If you put all three out, I mean, Anderson Cooper, but you wouldn't be interested.
I like how he's like the unlikely hero of this episode. It's like, how did we get here? How did we get, now we're just, like a fan account for Anderson Cooper. Great.
Yeah, but if you were like, okay, Johnny Knoxville now versus Dr. Drew then. Yeah, Johnny Knoxville, because I don't know. I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. There's something also super attractive about a man who can do the dumbest crap.
Oh, see, that's what I don't like.
and still be hot anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because most guys, I feel like if you did any of the stuff that Johnny Knoxville does, it would immediately give me the ick, and I would just be like, goodbye. I can't with you.
Yeah, I did listen to that, or I started to, the podcast. I don't know if you sent it to me or if I sent it to you, where he was on it, and he was he's like really smart, like how he came up with everything. So I give him credit for that. He's one of those guys that's like, yeah, you would think he's an idiot, but he's not. So
yeah.
He
totally
deserves more credit. Maybe. I don't know. That's what he said, at least. I don't know.
It's
that
debatable.
was from the half an hour I listened to him talk. I was like, oh, yeah, smart guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was all intentional. That's what basically I'm coming to say,
Yeah. Yeah. It was all part of a strategy.
It seems like someone that just got lucky being an idiot, and it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
totally.
Yeah. Hey.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps this up. How exciting. We're going to be going on our journey into the wilds here soon with Cheryl Strayed.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. Sounds good, guys. And if you want to join us too, like we said, jump on Fable and search Besties in the Book Club, because we will have it already posted by the time this video goes up. So you can join us there for that read and come back and check out that video once it gets posted. So make sure to follow, subscribe, like anywhere you like to listen to your favorite podcast, including YouTube. We would love to hear what you guys read to in college and books that stuck out to you for that time period. We want to hear.
Yeah.
Because maybe we'll try some out. Maybe we'll be like, ooh, I want to do that. Or you guys can talk in the comments together and be like, I love that book too. It's awesome. Bond.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a topic, like butter. No, SNL? Okay, we got to go. I'm getting weird.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.